r/Nosleep. Posted by Reddit user Brian Y97. He keeps banging his head on my door. I don't really know what to make of what happened a few days ago during a late night gaming session. I decided to take a break and walk over to my local convenience store to grab some snacks. As I stepped outside of my apartment complex, I turned and saw something that entirely made me regret my decision. It was dark, so I couldn't really see all that well initially, but I could make out the shape of a man repeatedly bashing his head against someone's door. At first, I didn't know whether to wave him down in case he needed help or if I should just call the cops. So I kinda just stood there and hoped that this person would see there was a witness to whatever it was he was doing. I guess it only took him a few moments to notice me, because I could see his silhouette stop, turn, and then walk out into the lit sidewalk. I don't think I'll ever be over what I saw. The man stood naked on the street, bleeding from his grotesquely overgrown forehead. He seemed to have no arms, but his feet very closely resembled large, hairy hands. He had strands of thin, oily black hair that fell over his puffy eyes, and his mouth hung agape, showing only a handful of crooked teeth. We locked eyes for a moment, and as if he could sense my weakness, he jerked forwards towards me. I sprinted back inside and closed my deadbolt behind me. Just as I went to the closet to grab a bat, I hear a loud bang on my front door. I cursed and ran into my room, where I called the police. I was forced to listen to that god-awful banging for at least 7 minutes before the cops showed up. The relentless assault on my door left me whimpering, wondering what the hell I should do. Should he make his way inside? When they arrived, I went outside to explain the situation. The man was nowhere in sight. The police informed me that they had gotten similar complaints all week, but hadn't seen anyone matching the description I'd given them. They took note of the apparent blood on my door, and while they seemed interested in my story, I still got the generic, "we'll keep an eye out," and they were on their way with that. It only took about 5 minutes of the police being gone before he started banging on my door again. When I went back to my room to get some sleep, I got a text from my next door neighbor, telling me to stop making that noise. Otherwise, he'd be talking to the landlord. I tried to explain the situation to him, but he just told me to handle it, or he would come down and handle it for me. I struggled over my next decision. Did I really want to confront whoever or whatever was outside? Deep down, I knew I didn't. I had my bat, but I suppose the best way to describe my feeling was it didn't feel like I was confronting a person. It felt like I'd be facing an animal. There's a level of unpredictability a wooden bat doesn't protect you from. I mean, this guy had been trying to tear down a sturdy door with his skull, and he was winning. It's not like hitting him with a bat was really going to do much, right? But with the same confidence of a child trying to shoo a spider out of his room, I resolved to at least attempt to scare him away. But before I could even open my bedroom door, I heard a loud crash coming from my kitchen, and at that moment my heart sank. I don't know how he got in, but I could see the man stumbling about in my kitchen, knocking everything over in his path, letting out something that was a cross between a wail and a grunt. Like a cockroach, he scurried back to the front door and began furiously banging his head against it again. I slapped my hand on my mouth to keep quiet, and quickly decided to hide in my bedroom closet. Bang, 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 bang. Repeatedly, he just wouldn't fucking stop. I don't know how long he would go or if he'd come back looking for me, but it all suddenly came to a halt when my phone started to ring. Peeking out of my closet, I could see I stupidly left it on my bed. I wanted to grab it, but the loud footsteps coming near my door kept me rooted in my spot. I could partially see the door from where I was. He slowly creaked it open with his grotesque feet and poked his abomination of a face inside. I could hear labored breathing as he sniffed the air and stared directly at my ringing phone. My heart beat fast in my chest as I prayed that he wouldn't decide to come rummaging through the closet. But as soon as my phone stopped ringing, he took one final look around the room and left. I waited a few more seconds, and all I could hear was the front door close behind him. I stayed in the closet for a few minutes just to be sure he wasn't going to come back. As soon as I felt comfortable, I sprinted out of the closet, grabbed my phone, and ignoring the litany of calls from my neighbor, I phoned the police. I expected to give a statement on a break-in, which I later found out happened through a busted window. But I quickly found out that something much more grave occurred when they arrived. Apparently, on their way over, someone else had called about finding a body. Once the police had isolated me from the scene, they informed me it was my neighbor's body. The details were gruesome. His face had been completely bashed in. He had multiple bite marks all over his body. It also appeared as though his neck had been broken, twisted nearly 180 degrees. As far as I know, I'm not the suspect, but they did fear that the person, or thing, I saw might have been involved. They did a sweep of my apartment, noted the blood, and took some samples of strewn glass. I don't know how much it means, but they suggested I find someone to stay with, at least for a little while. I'm not really sure what to even make of all this. I've never heard of anything similar to whatever the fuck that was. And I'm wondering if maybe someone knows more than what they're saying. I'm not an expert on police procedure, but there seemed to be a level of calm throughout all of this. I guess it's why I'm not a cop, but I'd be freaking the fuck out. Some deformed person is brutally killing people? I hadn't seen anything on the news about it. Shouldn't that be all over the place? Going anywhere at night stresses me the fuck out. And I'm looking into how quickly I can get a gun. I just want all of this to be over. I swear, the past couple of nights, I can still hear the bang, bang, bang in the back of my mind.